April has come and gone, but that means it sort of marked the start of the event season here in parts of the United States, which means the floodgates are open and items are being found. So let's take a look at the finds from April 2022. But before that, let's start with a few pieces that were offered by viewers of the channel. From Canada comes this amazing collection of CADPAT and Canadian Army accessories, ranks, name tapes, berets, and so on. It's just a great grouping of items. Plus, the uniform itself is one of the newer cuts, which is very interesting to see firsthand and compare to some of the older ones out there. Being that even simpler CADPAT pieces are still relatively hard to get, receiving everything here is quite remarkable. Thank you, Constant Perrault. Next up, we have these two sets, which were acquired from Lucas, another fan of the channel. We have a crisp set of older Mexican Marine green dominant digital, which was first introduced in 2008 and replaced in 2015, which perfectly matches the coat from a few months back, as well as a rather unique digitized Woodland Flecktarn oversuit, which appears to be commercially made, but was made popular as it was worn by members of the 45th Guard Spetsnaz of the Russian Airborne. Keep an eye out, as in the near future we'll be taking a look at some interesting takes on the Flecktarn design and talk a bit more about this one. Last, but certainly not least, at least as far as viewers sent or offered pieces, are these brand new Romanian uniforms. First seen in 2016, this camouflage almost resembles a fractal type Flecktarn and was domestically created and had 3 versions made. One for the Army, which is seen on the right here, one for the Navy, and one for the Air Force, which is seen on the left. The fabric on these is really nice and the colors are very vibrant. In fact, the Army pattern utilizes colors that are practically identical to multicams, making it something of a universal design. Anyway though, a big thanks to Kovash Adrian for offering these. A video covering this camouflage family will certainly have to be done down the line. Next up, we're heading way down to South Africa with these Soldier 2000 camouflage pants. They are a bit strange as they bear no tags or identification, but interestingly have this presumably professionally done repair on the waist, which uses a small swatch of Woodland Flecktarn. Finding items in this pattern is becoming increasingly tough, so the opportunity was just jumped on. Still in Africa is this very unique camouflage pattern out of Mali. Used by forestry and park officials, this pattern mixes a sort of vine leaf camouflage with images of lions, wildebeests, and paw prints of them into it. Oddly, it is very similar to the patterns used in Benin by park rangers, however the actual shapes of their animals are slightly different. Next up are 2 sets that come out of Vietnam. The first set is this sort of spot pattern. It's the second iteration of their initial design that was adopted after the country was unified and is often worn by commando and other special forces. The second is the K94 design, which was introduced in 1994, being used until about 2007. Being something of a general issue camouflage, the design seems very influenced by tiger stripe, but includes the occasional bamboo branch shape as well. Now for a few hats, specifically a field cap worn by UN peacekeepers during the 1990s, as well as a boonie and field cap in the Ukrainian Varan design to round off the uniform acquired back in March. Okay, so being that event and show season has begun around here, a few items were picked up at the Duffel Bag Show, which was covered in a recent video, as well as at a local flea market, so here's a quick showing of the items that were picked up at both. First are an assortment of US ERDL and Woodland M1 helmet covers. There's just so much variety in these covers when it comes to the prints and the materials they're made out of, and it really can be a collection of its own. Next is an unissued East German rain pattern winter coat with an original faux fur collar liner. Where East German gear was a dime a dozen a few years ago, today they have gone up in price drastically, with these coats being a prime example for whatever reason. So getting one for about $20 was a no-brainer. Still on coats are these check pieces. A coat with the VZ95 pattern, in great condition, as well as the ever-mysterious desert pattern, which for a while was referred to as an experimental design, but is pretty much just a commercial piece. However, it may or may not have been tested out around the early 1990s by them to some extent. Now, here's something that isn't exactly military issue, but is still a neat one. It's a NATO Kosovo Force, K4 for short, t-shirt. On the front is just the emblem, but on the back shows the country, the silhouette of troops, flags of the countries involved, and most interestingly, "We were here" written in English, German, and French. Finally, to wrap things up, are 2 different British smocks, both with the temperate DPM printed on them. They were both picked up at the same flea market, one right after the other. The airborne one on the left was bought first, and right around the corner the other one was found. The seller of the second one, who didn't really want to stand up to talk, just yelled, "It's British, not easy to get." which was pretty funny for a few reasons. But on that note, we've come to the end of the pickups for April. A very special thanks to everyone who sent in or offered pieces. They are very much appreciated and are just fantastic overall. Thanks again to all those who watched as well, and be sure to check back soon for our May pickups right here on Uniform History.